Welcome back to Real Agriculture. My name is Deborah Murphy, and today we're joined by Deborah Davidson, a professor of environmental sociology at the University of Alberta. Hello, Deborah.
Hi, Deborah.
So the agriculture industry, as you probably know, is very interested in helping people understand the supply chain, basically what happens before their food hits those grocery store shelves. You're inspired by that initiative as well. Tell us about the campaign that you recently started.
I am inspired by that desire. I share that concern with farmers that our consumers, especially in our increasingly urban society, are becoming less and less connected to the origins of the food that they eat, and that has consequences for their own health, but it also has consequences for the farmers themselves, who lose those people who should be their most important political constituency. I'll tell you a little bit about a couple of the things that we're doing here to try to address that, and that is we have established a what we're calling Prairie Urban Farm, which is right at the University of Alberta on South Campus, so it's smack in the middle of the city in what has historically been primarily an area for agricultural-based research. So mostly people associated with research would be the only ones visiting the area. The intention of Prairie Urban Farm is to serve as a demonstration and outreach center, and also it is operated as a community farm in an effort to basically try to encourage enthusiasm for getting directly involved in growing food, but also more importantly, because not everyone obviously is in a position or even has an interest in necessarily getting personally involved in growing food, but to nonetheless expose them to just what food production is all about. We've been running Prairie Urban Farm for about 2 years now. We have a wonderful group of volunteers, about 100 people of all ages who come out to help us. But beyond that, we also are visited regularly by school children. In fact, last year we had so many requests for field trips from schools that we weren't able to accommodate them all. And that was really one of the frustrations on our part that led to this new initiative that we're calling Farm on Wheels.
So Farm on Wheels is essentially a shipping container that houses plants that are growing that you can take around to all these schools that really want that hands-on experience?
Yeah, very, very, very much so. That is literally what it is. It will be a shipping container that can be put on the back of a truck, and therefore can be highly mobile. And it really tackles two issues. Number one is, and this goes beyond the educational component, but for the sake of food production in northern climates in general, it gives us an opportunity to explore the increasingly available technologies to support indoor agriculture so that we can essentially extend our productive season to basically consist of 365 days. So that's important for the sake of production.
So it'll be research that's happening in there as well.
Long-term, ultimately, yes. We want to be able to collect data on the inputs that go into production and the outputs in the form of actual productivity, and to be able to compare those to other production strategies, other season extension production strategies in particular. But I think the far more compelling and important role that we will also be playing is to serve as a classroom, in effect. And that brings me back to the other huge constraint that we face, and that is at Prairie Urban Farm, for example, our growing season is limited to basically May through the end of September, which means that our opportunity to host field trips among students when classes are in session are limited to a couple of months of the year. And on top of that, it's really only limited to a very short visit of 1 hour or two for those students. So that really gives them, a taste and might nurture some excitement about food and food production, but it's not enough exposure, and it doesn't provide enough of an opportunity to really talk about agriculture and food in our lives in a meaningful way.
Mm-hmm. But it'll be a way different experience for them to go through Farm on Wheels. So what are you hoping to see them come out of that shipping container with in terms of knowledge?
So the shipping container itself is really it presents opportunities. So number one, we can drive that shipping container and have basically schools host the shipping container for extended periods of time, for let's say 1 week to a month, so that the shipping container can basically become a laboratory for curriculum modules and for several classes within a given school for an extended period of time. But even more importantly, I think, is the opportunity to expose teachers in particular and their administrators to this indoor growing technology, which can effectively be put in their own classrooms and can become a permanent feature of their classrooms, because the technology that we'll be showcasing within the shipping container is highly mobile. It's very modular, so you can essentially have a single vertical tower sitting on wheels that can be sitting in a 7th grade classroom, and it can be tucked in a corner when it's not the feature of studies that day, or it can be brought right out into the middle of the classroom. And this overcomes a number of hurdles in previous attempts to bring agriculture and food in a very personal and physical way into classrooms. We basically have attempted two things here in Alberta. And number one is school gardens, which are great, but again, you have the season limitation there. And number two, a number of schools have attempted basically a more conventional indoor garden, which involves really large tubs of dirt and then a large array of lights overhead. And usually these structures are just so large and immobile that they just end up sort of getting shunted away in a part of the school that doesn't get visited regularly. And then on top of that, we've heard a number of teachers and others experience with this technology that teachers just don't get sufficient training to be able to effectively incorporate these other strategies into their teaching. So the Farm on Wheels can also serve as a training center for teachers.
For sure. So basically, we've got this shipping container full of indoor plants. Some might argue that the container won't really represent field agriculture, and that it's more of a demonstration of its urban counterpart. Are you hoping that the teachers address some of the similarities and differences, or what are your thoughts there?
Yes, and absolutely, and we don't by any means mean to suggest in any sort of utopian sense that field-based agriculture can be replaced, but nonetheless, this is a technology that will allow students to observe the production of a plant, basically from seed to harvest in their own classroom, or at least at their own school within the shipping container, and that's a pretty fundamental experience that we can't offer students living in cities, and so that not only opens up questions to where our food comes from and what are the limitations of the biological and the ecological limitations of growing food, but I think it also opens up important avenues for looking at, just what are the costs of food production and what are the trade-offs of different types of food production technologies.
Okay, so basically, depending on their skill and knowledge level, they might go way more into depth just using this as a starter piece.
Yes, that would certainly be our hope, and that's why also the teacher training component, which we're hoping to develop as a component of this, would be so critical, is to basically be able to facilitate workshops with teachers to expose them to all of the potential extensions, curricular extensions of what this technology has to offer inside the classroom.
So the crowdsourcing campaign you've launched is looking for a total of $100,000 to get the shipping container rolling. Where will that money go?
So the money basically pays for sort of the whole suite of costs that would be associated with getting this up and running, and that's not only for the shipping container itself and for retrofitting that shipping container to support an indoor farm and the vertical gardening infrastructure inside the farm, but also for marketing and administration of the projects and the initiatives that we would like to support with the Farm on Wheels campaign. But ultimately, we should be able to at least break ground before we reach that $100,000 level, and we're hoping through the crowdfunding campaign that we can at least come up with sort of a foundation, a base of funding that can also help us to leverage support from other sources as well.
So how successful has the campaign been thus far?
It has been fantastic as a source of exposure. We have been getting a tremendous amount of positive feedback and just basically relationship building with other organizations with similar interests. We haven't raised as much money as we were hoping, and it's a difficult time to raise money economically in Alberta in particular, and especially if we're targeting individuals. But we are hoping over the course of the next 3 weeks, which is how much more time we have on the campaign, that a number of other small donors will come out of the woodwork so that we can at least come up with enough money to attract other larger donors.
So why should people be interested in sponsoring the campaign?
Because I think that what we are trying to do, our objectives are really critical to sustainability and well-being in Edmonton and frankly in other cities in northern climates out here in the Canadian prairies. And it has so many direct benefits in the form of education and outreach and food security and the potential for, again, exploring the capacities and the potential constraints of new food production technologies, and ultimately, the more attention and awareness we bring to agriculture and food security issues, the better for not only our agricultural sector as a whole in Alberta, but for urban sustainability as well.
Deborah Davidson, good luck with the next 3 weeks of your campaign.
Thank you very much.